Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, Entitled Aunt says my cousin deserves my dog. My entitled aunt broke into my house to try to steal my money when I'm still outside of the country. Update. Neighbor from hell. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled Aunt says my cousin deserves my dog. I adopted a goofball dog in April of 2022. She completes our family. I am an only parent providing for a little boy. Unfortunately, my line of work requires some travel. When I travel, both my dude and the doggo stay at my mom's. My aunt visited my mom and met my dog. My aunt decided that her daughter deserved my dog and has been causing a ruckus ever since. For reference, I'm 36 and my cousin is older than me. Oh, she is chipped. I will pay the pet tax if someone can tell me how to post a picture. You can upload pics to your profile by going to your profile and clicking the plus at the bottom. You know the Apple AirTags people put on luggage? You can put that on a dog collar too. Your aunt needs to grow up and stop being entitled. Her daughter doesn't deserve a dog, she deserves a mother without all the Karen entitlement. But like with the dog, we don't always get what we deserve. Opie, why doesn't your aunt buy a dog if her kid deserves one? Make sure your dog is chipped with your contact information, never know when it may come in handy. My entitled aunt broke into my house to try to steal my money when I'm still outside of the country. Update. Hey guys, it has been a nice 2 weeks and my time in Paris was great. So, let's get to what happened in the trial. The trial was longer than I thought it would be. We were there for an hour and a half. In the trial, her lawyer said to her defense my aunt had a manic episode because of her not doing well in classes, to the point she had to retake 2 classes in the summer, and if she didn't take them she would have to repeat her first year, and also, because she was a recovering drug addict, something I didn't know, she chose to use weed with her friend group, and that when the idea to rob me came and she did it. As you can see, the defense wasn't good. Only became legal for medical purposes recently. Even her lawyer looked like she didn't have enough to work with, and the judge didn't look happy with this. As some of you suggested, I told my lawyer that the staff she destroyed, like my computer and games, were important stuff to me, and that I lost the data from the games that I accumulated in almost 20 years. Not true, BTW. I have everything saved up as ROMs on my SD card in my room. I just didn't tell that to anyone. Thank God I did this. And he believes that she should also reimburse me for this staff for market value, as long as the other staff, like my door, fence furnishers, and more staff. I did my best to look sad when I was questioned about the whole thing, unlike my aunt who looked like she was faking it. After all of this, the judge came with her sentence. She has to serve 3 years in jail, not because of breaking into my house, but because there was illegal weed in her car, but can get released early if she acts well in jail. She now owes me $8,200 for all the damage she caused, the amount of money for all the staff she destroyed, as well as the games. They took almost $2,000 by themselves. Lucky, she can pay with her car and some of her expensive stuff I didn't know she had, according to my dad, so I'll get the money eventually. Well, now she is in jail, and I'm sure that some of my family, the younger one who liked her or the older course I don't know, it seems that my close family are full with me after relies upon how bad she was, will hate my guts with some of the messages I got in the past 3 weeks, calling me selfish, an entitled prick, a backstabber, a smock, and more stuff that are way worse than that. Well, this is probably the last of this whole entitled aunt staff, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my vacation. Tomorrow I will go to London and have fun there. By the way, if you ever see this somehow, Meseret, hope your time in jail was fun, and go *CK yourself for all you did. I also hope you changed as a person in the last years, but I will never speak to you again. Wow, they called you names? I can think of a few for your aunt. All of this could have been avoided if all the people calling OOP names pooled their money and helped out the aunt. But why use logic when they think they have a scapegoat? OOP, it's okay to tell your family to FCK off, even if it's only in your head as you block the lot of them. Maybe save the texts to go after them for harassment if that's a thing in your country. Got to love family that blames the victims of family crime when the criminal gets jail time. Right? I've totally lost all familial support just over making normal bad decisions, like majoring in philosophy, getting divorced, etc. Meanwhile, folks out there getting high and robbing relatives got whole troops to rally, WTH. Lucky, she can pay with her car and some of her expensive stuff I didn't know she had according to my dad, so I'll get the money eventually. So, she had expensive things that she could have sold to pay for college? And she could have avoided all this in jail had she not been so eager to spend someone else's money? Yeah, I'm not sure what the hell went through her head. I get not wanting to sell her car to some degree, but the rest just to pay off her loan would have been a way better move than what she did. Maybe all the drugs and stress did make her have a maniac episode after all. Neighbor from hell. Shortly after we bought our first home, I went next door to meet the wife who lived across the street. I had already met her kids as she sent them to our house to play while we were unpacking. I should have known right there this wasn't going to be good, and was excited that she had kids close to my children's age. I had my first child a month after I turned 18. For years it was a struggle for me to find mom friends. The women I wanted to be friends with looked at me like I was a child, and the moms I found my age were more interested in dumping their kids and partying. I thought I might have finally found my perfect opportunity for a great mom friend, plus she lived right across the street. I walked over and introduced myself to her. We got to talking and she told me it was her and her husband's anniversary. I asked if they had plans and she said, well, actually I wanted to ask you if you'd do me a solid and watch the kids while we go on a date. I was a little taken back. She didn't know me. I'm weird about leaving my kids with just anyone, but then I figured this poor lady must be desperate, and since it was her anniversary, after all, I agreed to do it. My children were 10 months and 6 years old at that time, and she had a 1, 3, and 5-year-old. Watching her kids on top of mine was definitely a chore, but I got through it and was happy to give her their date night. I ended up getting a little gas station job that worked opposite my husband's shift. My husband worked second shift, would get home around 1, stay up until 6 in the morning because he couldn't just fall asleep, and then sleep until a half hour before he had to leave again. In order to make it work, I would open the gas station early hours, work 4 to 6 hours a day on the weekdays and every other weekend. I'd keep my kids up until 9 so they would sleep in until I got home. I was working part-time 32 hours a week, but also taking care of everything else until it was the weekend and I could get help from my husband. To say I was exhausted is an understatement. Here's where the really entitled part starts to come in. My neighbor started to watch to see me arrive home and send her children, very small children, over to my house to ask to play at my house. At those ages, I had to constantly supervise them. Her kids also lacked total boundaries and manners. I could excuse it by saying that they were little, but even the one close to my daughter's age was bad. They'd eat up all my kids' snacks, tornado through my home, and then when I said it was time to clean up, they would just walk out the door. Because of this, I started telling them no when they came over. After consistently telling them no when Saturday night rolled around, my neighbor and her husband came over to say hi to my husband and I. We were chatting maybe a minute when my neighbor said to me, "You really need to watch my kids, you have no idea how hard it is." Excuse me? I told her I do know how hard it is. I told her I first became a mother just 5 months after I graduated high school, and she had her first at the age I had my last. I told her that I had been working 32 hours a week, waking up at 3 in the morning. She interrupted me there by saying that me going to work is a break. She was a stay-at-home mom, but if she really did feel that way, she could also go get a job opposite her husband's 9-to-5 work sched. She also had his help all week after work. I told her that in the situation I was personally in, being a stay-at-home mom would be easier. I was still doing all the work that I did when I stayed home, but then had to go off to work. She twisted it around like I was saying being a stay-at-home mom is easy, It's not. I had already had a few-year-long period of staying home and wasn't what I said, and she called me judgmental and stomped off saying that I just didn't understand. I have many more stories involving her, unfortunately. This woman made my life hell for the 5 years we lived next to her. This is prob the most PG-rated story of them all, but I thought it fit perfectly. The kicker is, if she would have showed any interest of wanting to be my friend versus just someone she wanted to use, I probably would have helped her to my own detriment. She was also able to worm back in to use me as childcare and various other ways, but those are stories for another time. The very first day she showed you who she was. You need very firm boundaries with someone like her. Exactly. We moved into grad school on-campus apartments when I was hugely pregnant. The closest neighbor brought me over a choice of soda or water, and a chair to sit on while watching other people unload for me. Great neighbor. More dirt. Spill the tea. I sense you holding back. She's obviously a monster. The first day she sent her kids over, you should have sent them home. When she asked you to babysit, you should have said no, then she started taking advantage of you. These were red flags you ignored. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.